is Falthithuit. I am the daughter of the late Seoch Naman, my father, from West Saanich, Sartut Nation. My mom is Chikachutali, she's Okanagan. But this story is a Coast Salish story. It's a story that was told to me, dare I say, 60 years ago. It's a story that my dad brought me to this beach. And this is a story that he told my brothers and I. It's a story of a chief. That means this happened moons and moons and moons ago, a long time ago. There were tribes up and down the coast here. The water that you see here is our highway. There was a time when there was famine. There was no crabs to be found, no clams, no deer in the forest. There was no herring. There was no herring eggs. There was no seal meat. There was no killer whales. There was a great chief at that time, sent his fastest and his swiftest to stand on rocks, to watch and to wait. They were waiting for the herds of herring to come and for the salmon to return. It was a time of famine. The people were singing to Halks, the Creator. We are starving. Send food. One of those young men, the chief's son, was standing on a rock like this, looking out over the water. And as he was looking at the water, rumble, 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 a young thunderbird took his talons and tried to lift a young killer whale out of the water. He couldn't. The young thunderbird left the young killer whale. And that young man looked across the water. He looked and he watched. He took the sounding to let his brothers and sisters know that there was food here in the strait. And it went from one person to another person back to his tribe. And the men in their canoes came and they hunted and they brought that young killer whale back. And that young man, the chief's son, he stood and he watched. And the women were ready. They changed the bones into soup. They changed the bones into tools. They put bones aside for the carvers to celebrate, to make rattles, to make sticks, talking sticks, to tell of a great time of a young killer whale gave itself up. But that young man, the chief's son, he sat there as he watched the people feast for 3 days. What he did not tell them was that the killer whale was touched by the thunderbird. He knew that that thunderbird claimed that killer whale. Anyone who ate it would perish. And 3 days after feasting and dancing and singing, he watched as his fellow brothers and sisters perished, turned back. The water cried, the land cried, the cedar cried. It was tragic. And that young chief, he went to that village and he loaded up the canoes from each one of the longhouses. Masks, rattles, regalia. He's going to go across the water. Has a good bride price. And as he was standing upon the rock, you could hear an old thunderbird. Rumble, 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 rumble. across the sky, across the water. And that young man looked. And that thunderbird came above him and said, "You are a wise young man." And he goes, "I am." "You are a smart man." "I am." "You are worthy of remembering." "Yes, I am." "I will gift you that." And as he stood there on this beach, the thunderbird turned him to stone. You can feel him here. The thunderbird gave him a gift that he will forever watch his people. He'll forever watch the herds in the forest, the return of the killer whale, the return of the salmon, the return of all the clam beds. He will become a witness. You can feel him. You place your hands here, and he's here today, reminding us, take care of your brothers and sisters. That's the story of the man that turned to stone, told here by my dad when I was a little girl. Aichka Siem. Hope you have a beautiful day.